Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at Granbull. Now look, I know Granbull isn't a new deck. I am fully aware that Granbull is one of those decks that's been around for a rather long time, but here's the thing. Granbull was really good and was seeing a huge amount of play and everyone was loving it, and then Granbull went away. Well, the good news is that it's starting to see just a little bit of a comeback. It has gone and done well in an extremely large tournament over in Japan. This is a tournament with 1,500 people. I know, right? That's an awful lot of people. And one of the things we did see was that Granbull got a few top cut spaces. Now, the highest was top 16 with Mayo Morichika, which unfortunately I do not have the list. But we also saw a top 64 finish for Kota Sekine. Let's go for that. With 53rd place, for which I do have a list. And of course, one of the things about Granbull was, well, hang on a second. How are we going to make Granbull work in a format with Tag Team GXs? Now, as a little bit of a reminder, Granbull is that Pokemon that does 160 damage for a single energy if you've got 0 cards in hand. It was great before Tag Team GXs came out. And then you're sitting there facing down stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom that have 240 HP. And you're playing in a format where every man and his dogs play multiple copies of Ace Roller to heal those free prize Pokemon. And you end up in a fairly awkward situation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, turns out Granbull, it totally can still work. And when we're looking at reasons why new cards have been released over the past few sets, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. There are basically 2 cards, but even then, one of them came around in Team Up and one of them's coming in Unbroken Bonds. But there are 2 cards that really make this better than it used to be. And one of them is Red's Challenge. Red's Challenge is literally computer search as a supporter card. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search for any 1 card. Now, that's great for 2 reasons. Firstly, any 1 card is great, because we need cards. You get a last bit of the combo. Secondly, it's Granbull. You want to have 0 cards in hand. And you know what? This lets you discard 2 cards and search for a card. That is going to help you. One of the things that always destroyed Granbull was there would generally be 1 or 2 turns in a game where you just couldn't empty your hand. Where for whatever reason you could not get 0 cards in hand, and that would be it. That could often be the difference between a win and a loss. Well, now with Red's Challenge, it is much less likely that that's going to happen. And the other card which has come around is Wonder Labyrinth Prism Star. Now, the bad news here is, this is a Prism Star card. So you are only allowed to put a single solitary copy of it in your deck. That's all you get, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you get. And that's a little bit sad, and I get that. But, by the same token, it's phenomenal. Because what it allows you to do is increase the cost of your opponent's attacks by 1 colorless energy. And by allows you to do, I mean always does whether you like it or not, because it's a static thing. To be honest, it's always there. And it's for you or your opponent, but you're only attacking with Granbull, so that's fine. And yeah, there's going to be the odd game where Wonder Labyrinth Prism Star stays on the field for the entire game. And your opponent just has a really bad time. But the reality is there are going to be many more games where you play it down and your opponent gets rid of it and it's gone. But what you're really looking at for Wonder Labyrinth Prism Star isn't, yay, it's out for the whole game auto win. What you're looking at is you stop your opponent having 1 or 2 attacks. You see, Granbull hasn't changed very much, but Red's Challenge gets you 1 or 2 extra attacks, and Wonder Labyrinth Prism Star takes away 1 or 2 attacks from your opponent, and that can be enough. That can be the difference between a victory and a defeat. And that's what's really changed with Granbull. Those 2 cards make a difference. But we're also changing a little bit the way in which we construct these decks. So there are a couple of cards which are more prominent than they were before. Bodybuilding dumbbells. You see, what people would often do back when we were playing this before, choice band meta. Lots and lots and lots of choice band. Here's the thing. Choice band falls apart because when we're playing with a whole bunch of 180, 190 HP Pokemon, choice band's amazing. If you're only playing against stuff like Blacephalon and Rayquaza, you can just get easy one-hit KOs on them all and life is good. But against Tag Team GXs, you are two-hit KOing. So what you want to do is make them two-hit KO you, and let's go back to Pikachu and Zekrom as an example. Generally speaking, they're hitting for 150 with their first attack. You've got 130, they're getting a one-hit KO. But now Bodybuilding Dumbbells gives you an extra 40 HP, you go up to 170, and now all of a sudden, Pikachu and Zekrom isn't getting a one-hit KO. And that's kind of awesome. The other thing we see here, at least in this list, 4 copies of Custom Catcher. And this makes the difference. Because again, if we go back to what I was telling you a minute ago, we're not getting big one-hit KOs anymore. It's not happening. You get some, but you're not getting enough. But with Custom Catcher, you play 2 at the right time, and then all of a sudden, you can go nuts just grabbing stuff off the bench and getting nice, easy one-hit KOs. Another thing that really helps Granbull nowadays is that Dedenne GX is a thing. You see, Dedenne GX is the de facto replacement for Tapu Lele GX, and what is absolutely crucial here is that it's got 160 HP. And you naturally hit for 160 damage. Remember, we've taken away Choice Band. We're not playing Choice Band. So you need to be able to KO this straight away. This helps you do so rather nicely indeed. Now, there is one other Pokemon that we're really using here that we never used to before, and it's Mew. Mew's got bench barrier just like 90% of the Mr. Mime, it seems like. Means you can't be hit on the bench. And there are several good things about this, but let's just mention specifically Pikachu and Zekrom. Because if they're not one-hit KOing you with a first attack, and they're not KOing you on the bench with a residual damage from their GX attack, does 200 to the active, 170 to the bench, then actually, you getting a 2-hit KO means that you're basically guaranteed the win. It's really kind of cool. Now, there's one other change that we see in these lists nowadays, and that is Magcargo is out. Magcargo is gone. It used to be that we'd play Magcargo as a 1-1 or a 2-2 line, and then you would have Magcargo to search out whatever you wanted and put it on top of your deck. You'd have Oranguru to search it out, and that would be how you'd roll. And the problem with Magcargo was that you only put one card on top of your deck, and it was a stage 1. And here's what really sucked about Magcargo. Sometimes you draw Magcargo, but you didn't have a Slugma on the bench. And it was just more Pokemon you couldn't get on the bench, and it sucked. It was not good. So now what we do is we play 3 Oranguru, and that's it. We don't play any Magcargo. Remember, we're playing 4 copies of Red's Challenge. Not to mention we're playing 2 copies of Diantha here, which of course just, lets you grab any 2 cards out of the discard pile after your opponent KO'd a fairy Pokemon the previous turn. And now these are our supporters of choice. Yes, of course, you're still playing Apricorn Maker in the early game. Why would you not be? But after that, you're talking Red's Challenge and Diantha. Because remember, you don't want to draw cards that are clogging up your hand. I cannot sit here telling you that this is all of a sudden going to be amazing, but I can tell you that Granbull is a better deck than it was before, now that we're in this particular format. I'm not saying it's better now than it was back before Tag Team GXs, but I am saying that when Tag Team GXs came out, the builds we were using were not good. And now we're playing in a different way. One more card that really has come to the fore is Pokegear 3.0. It received a reprint recently, and it lets you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, find a supporter card, and put it into your hand. Firstly, this is a burnable card. You don't have to take something off this. Secondly, it means that you're likely to draw into the supporter card you can play and that you do want, and that's awesome. Here's an example list. Here's the one that got 53rd at the Japanese tournament. And I know 53rd doesn't sound that amazing, but bear in mind there were 1,500 people. So, 53rd out of 1,500 people, that's still pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if we put that as a percentage, that puts you in the top 3.5%. That ain't bad, ladies and gentlemen. That ain't bad at all. We're talking top 4 in a 100-person tournament. It's really quite good. Is Granbull a powerhouse deck that's going to take over the format like it pretty much did before? Probably not. But do we have new builds now that are far, far better at coping with the Tag Team GX meta? Could Granbull make a little bit of a comeback? Bearing in mind it was basically completely gone before. To those questions, yeah, I think it actually could. But I'd like to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about games that don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.